More on chapter two. I'm going to cover very briefly canning. I'm not going to break out all the gear for canning because, quite frankly, it's a lot of stuff. Pressure pot, the cans, everything else. Canning is kind of a lost art. But for those that don't know, you can do a lot with canning. You can actually can meat. You can can deer. You can can beef. You can can vegetables from the garden. You can can about anything. If you can eat it, you can can it. You're used to buying things like tomato sauces pre-canned from a company, or maybe your mom or grandma used to make it and give it to you for spaghetti sauce. They can that at home. Um, to get a good canning setup going, you're probably going to spend around $150 to $200 one time, and that's going to buy your pots and the mitts you need and all the equipment to go along with it. And then you're going to have to buy jars. But the great thing about canning is food lasts a long time. It doesn't have to be refrigerated. I made these 623 of actually, wow, 1 year and 1 week ago. Um, these were squash I grew in the garden last year. I never cracked the lid. They're still good. I'm not going to do it now, but you can can a lot of things. Once you get started, it's fairly cheap to keep going with it. The downside is it does take up a lot of space. They're fragile. You need to be careful not, because they're glass jars. You need to be careful not to turn around and stack 500 of them, in a corner somewhere in your house. You don't want to keep them exposed to extreme temperatures. You want to keep them somewhere in the 50 to 75-degree range. So in the house, not outside in the garage, on the top shelf in the heat in July. And it's an expensive hobby in terms of time because you're either going out to buy groceries that you're going to pay for and then turn around and come home and can, which is kind of counterproductive in my opinion, or you're going to grow your own and you're going to can those. So if you're talking about the time of the garden, the time to take care of the garden, you have to get enough supplies together to make it worth your time canning. You don't want to have 2 cucumber bushes and then go out there and decide, well, I'm going to have a canning day. You're going to spend hours preparing, and then you're going to can about 2 cans of cucumbers, you're going to be done. And you're going to go, wow, that's not worth the work. So canning can be a community project. It can be a family project. It is kind of fun. I do it. My wife doesn't. She says, quite frankly, I can go to the store. And I'm the one that said, no, I want to learn to can. And it's been fun. I've learned a lot. I've made pickles. I've made cucumbers. Well, it's not hard to make cucumbers. Vegetables. Learned to can meat. That took some faith because I heard you can do it, but I wasn't sure. But it's not hard. And then, of course, I can actually store beef or deer right at room temperature in a jar. That's kind of cool. Tons of recipes online for how to do it. My only advice is don't skimp out. Don't try to use a standard pressure pot for a canning pot. They're a canning pot for a reason. There is a little bit of science to canning, and you should follow the directions with the equipment that you get and do it accordingly. And maybe, because I'm talking about it now, maybe I'll do a more long-term, more in-depth video later just on canning. But it's a great option. It's a fun hobby. I won't say it's the best option, but it does allow you to get a lot of food if you have access to it and preserve it. If you have to go buy it, not necessarily a great thing for you. But if you have cattle, or you love to hunt deer, or you have a big garden and you're giving away to neighbors and people down the street all the time, maybe you can use canning to set aside 3 months worth or 6 months worth for your family and have it. Not have to be beans and rice and lights go out. Okay? That's my thing on canning. Have a great day.